There's the red light. Okay. Waiting for the green light to come on. That'd be so cool when it does. We're live. Hi, guys. Max here. My rant, as always, I rant, rant. You know, rant. Uh huh. Well, let me cough here. If I don't cough, I die, right? I'll try some water. Okay. I want to talk today about Canada. Now, you probably heard me yesterday when I talked about thin skinned, whiny ass people. You go to Canada, you're going to find a lot of thin skinned, whiny ass people in that what is basically not really a country, but a bedroom community of the United States. If you look across the 42nd parallel, you're going to find out that a whole lot of those people up there are suffering serious, acute Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. Their media has done an even better job of brainwashing them than ours has us. Does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. But you know, it's not just the fact that they're learning to hate us. Sorry. And it's not just the fact that they're being continually brainwashed and modified. But the question now is Canada, which has always been very friendly to China, is now working an alliance that could be horrible. The question is, how much progress have China and Canada made? And how far is Canada's new government with Mark Carney willing to go in order to foster this anti-America campaign? They're not just saying we're unhappy with trade. They're saying we hate Donald Trump. We hate the elected office. We hate the government. We hate the people. I don't hate the people of Canada, even though the majority of them are walking around in their own swill, the swill of TDS. They don't understand that as a bedroom community to the U.S., they have really reaped so many benefits from us. While they've been screwing us on tariffs, we've been letting them get away with it, and now the chickens have come home to roost. There was a recent survey. Oh, I love this survey. If you can believe CBC. Over 79% of Canadians interviewed have TDS. They're displaying symptoms to some degree. And over 69% think that it's going to become a full-blown trade war between Canada and the U.S., and they believe that somehow Canada will prevail. Oh, please. Just the state of Texas has a larger economy than Canada. Well, anyway, so much for these whiny asses to the north of us. You've got a weak Canadian dollar, really weak. And these retaliatory tariffs, I mean, we tariff them, they bump it higher. They're insisting on keeping the playing field tipped in their direction. Come on. There's animosity, there's idiocy, and those two things are on a collision course. There's more disturbing news, and here it is. Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, is engaging in talks with Xi Jinping of Beijing, China. Huh? Yeah. They're forging what could be an unholy alliance. Why would they be meeting secretly, and why would they be talking behind closed doors? Well, I got some ideas on that. I could be wrong. So here we go. A, Canada's economy is in the shitter. They've been teetering on the brink of bankruptcy for over 10 years, and if something doesn't happen, they won't be able to pay their bonds in 2026. In which case, well, if any country defaults on its bonds, it's bye-bye, especially with a delicate economy like Canada's, which depends so heavily on us, America. These guys are in very real danger. They're in major danger of defaulting so many bonds and loans that have been keeping their country afloat. Ottawa, that's where Mark Carney hides out, is begging cash-heavy Beijing for money. Well, Canada needs hundreds of billions of dollars just for the good ship Canada to stay afloat. Their only viable source of finance is an already Canada-friendly China. You think they'd ask us? Nah, come on. With their TDS as bad as it is, they would just as soon starve and die in the street as ask us for a meal. Hell, if we offer, they'd probably turn it back right now. Talks between China's Xi Jinping and Canada's Mark Carney are quietly but surely progressing behind closed doors. Is this a plot to endanger or conquer the U.S.? Is it a plot to somehow gain advantage? Canada alone couldn't gain advantage on the state of Vermont, let alone the U.S. But I've been digging around and found sources close to Carney's cabinet and others close to Xi's advisors. And basically, here's what they're saying. It's a loose quote because I've patched it together from 3 different sources. Here's what they say. On the table is establishment of Chinese naval and army bases operating on Canadian soil and in Canadian waters. Also on the table is China gaining majority holding status in Canada's largest banks and the Canadian Mint. Yet another is what they call a sharing of resources, which means excluding the U.S. from China's vast rare earth mineral deposits and the most productive gold mine in the world. With President Trump at the helm, America's becoming as strong as she's ever been. Understood. Hostilities from Canada, they couldn't be overt because we'd squash them like a bug. If China does install, this is possible, if they put military assets on the land or in the sea of Canada, Canadian ports, territorial waters, the outcome of a conflict, it would not be good. You understand? The U.S. would have to annex Canada. I'm talking the U.S. invading Canada militarily, conquering it, annexing it. You know, if we did over the next, 4 or 5 years, Canadians would be so happy to be a territory of the U.S. We don't want them as a state. We really don't. They're too much of a burden. They would only drag our economy down. Honestly. This unholy alliance must be prevented. We cannot allow Carney and Xi to come up with any really horrible shit that even if the Canadians don't like it, past presidents, past prime ministers like Justin Trudeau have shown that they can choke off anybody, anywhere, anytime they want, just as Adolf Hitler did in Nazi Germany. If this goes Mark Carney's way, Canada will become a communist Chinese satellite. If that happens, the United States has no choice but to breach the border, march over the 42nd parallel, and kick some Canadian butt. Just a thought. I'm Max.